What's going on, guys? Thanks for watching. Keep calm and game on. In my garage, just got back from a 24-mile little bike ride on my new Lectric XP 2.0. Handled pretty well. Don't really have too many complaints. When I first got it, I was having some battery alignment issues. The battery came installed in the down tube here when it first got here, and I unboxed it. And for some reason, the teeth inside this part were not lining up with the compartments on the battery. So I had to get a shim thing that the electric company sent me that propped it up a little bit to kind of line it up. Eventually what I had to do was kind of bend down the teeth on the inside to kind of line up better, which is totally fine. The electric company actually suggested I do that. It doesn't void the warranty, anything like that. I made a previous video about that. But after I did all that, everything lined up, seemed to work fine. I got a full charge. And yeah, it got me 24 miles and really low degree temperature. Like I was riding in the evening, it was only about I want to say like 34 degrees here in Idaho, and it got me where I was going. And then I rode back early in the morning and it was like 31 degrees, and it got me back here. And the battery, I don't have the battery plugged in at the moment, but the little part where it shows you like how much battery you have left, I think it had like maybe a quarter of the battery left. So I could have got some more, some more miles out of it. If I just did throttle only, it was going at a speed about between like 12 and 15 miles an hour. So I could have got some more, pedal assist distance out of it, and just some throttle only if I wasn't planning on going too fast. But so far, pretty happy with it. I mean, I've only been on the one ride, but it seemed to handle really well. Seemed super stable with these wide tires. Didn't have any issues with that, going over bumps, riding through a little bit of snow here and there. Went off-road a brief period just to kind of cross over to a sidewalk. But yeah, so far, I mean, I haven't tried out the what do you call it, where the auto speed, I guess it's called the, I don't know, where you can just put it on one speed. You don't have to hold the throttle. You don't have to pedal, and it just kind of does it by itself. I forget what that's called. It's the auto speed, the autopilot, not the autopilot. I don't know the term for it. It's cruise control, speed control, something like that. So I haven't tried that out yet. I haven't really messed too much with the display itself. But yeah, I was going like around 20 miles an hour the whole time on pedal assist. Between all the way from 1 to like 4, I didn't really try out 5. But I started off with like pedal assist 1 and 2, then I got a little bit more tired, bumped it up to 3, and then I bumped it up to 4, and I was going a full 40 miles an hour because I was getting kind of cold riding my bike late at night, so I'm like, I got to get to where I'm going as fast as I can. So I bumped that up, and then on the way home the next morning, yeah, I just went 20 miles an hour pretty much the entire time, and this bad boy held up. Like, no complaints so far, other than when, like I said, when the battery got here, it wasn't lining up correctly. But other than that, I really haven't had any issues. The brakes were kind of rubbing on the brake pad right there. So like on this, I guess the brake wheel, I don't know what you would call it. It was kind of rubbing on the inside. So I messaged Electric. They sent me a tutorial video on how to kind of adjust those. It wasn't super complicated. But yeah, I just kind of undid some screws back here, lined it up a little bit better. And I haven't had really any issues since then. It did make it so the brakes, you had to press them down a little bit more than when they first came. Before, I would only have to press them down about this much, and they would have stopped the bike. But when I adjusted it, you have to press them down a little bit more. And they said that's fine, as long as there's like a finger width from where the handle is. That's totally fine. Like, you don't want it to go all the way down because that's way too loose. But I feel like the brakes handle pretty well. Something I did notice on this bike is because of the weight of it, it weighs about 70 pounds by itself. That's like not with you on it, and that's without the battery in it. Around 70, 55. Well, I mean, with the battery, it's probably more about 70. But I noticed that it does take a little bit longer to stop, which, makes sense. If you're going at a high speed and everything weighs more, it's going to naturally take a little bit longer to slow down. Unlike my normal bike, just normal manual pedaling, I can stop pretty fast because it's, a pretty light frame. This thing probably only weighs maybe like, 30 pounds as opposed to 70, 60 pounds around there. So, it naturally is going to take longer to stop, just like with a car. If you're driving a car, it's going to stop pretty well. But if you're driving like a semi-truck with like a big load in the back, you kind of have to stop a little bit, start applying those brakes a little bit faster. So that's something I had to get used to because, with a normal bike, I can just kind of stop on a dime. With this one, I have to, it just takes a little bit longer. Something I have been doing, at least with the first ride, is I didn't really use the brakes that much because when I was coming up to like a stop sign or a stoplight or an intersection, I would just take my hand off the throttle or stop pedaling, and I would just kind of slowly, you know, let my momentum carry me there. So then I would, you know, I'd be going like a little bit, you know, a little bit, and then I'd just pump the brakes. But I wouldn't be going like full speed and then, you know, try to pump the brakes. But I guess, you know, in an emergency, it would stop. But yeah, it takes a little bit longer on these because they're just bigger bikes, you know, bigger tires. So that makes sense. Just I didn't think of that when I first got it, but you know, it's not a big deal. And you know, it makes total sense. I put this little headlight on here. I haven't tried out the headlight on the bike yet. I've heard that it's not the brightest, and I didn't really want to, you know, take away from the battery because I wanted to get the absolute farthest range I could. So I put this little headlight on here too, and I put this one in the back. They're both rechargeable lights, so I can plug those in and charge them up. Eventually, I should probably try out that light to see if it works, just so if it doesn't, I can message them and be like, yo, why does my light not work? But yeah, for the most part, I'm pretty happy with it. I probably could have got a total of maybe 30 miles total out of it, but I stopped around 24. And again, it was really cold weather, and you know, it said with, you know, cold temperatures, the battery is going to decrease. You know, the range may differ depending on the temperature, but in really cold weather, it got me, you know, 24 plus miles. I really believe it could have got me 30, maybe even more, on depending on the pedal assist and the speed. I was going like a full 20 miles an hour the whole time. Toward the end, I was going more like 15. But yeah, so far so good. Happy with it. Haven't had any trouble with the tires. I realized that these things take a lot of air. I got a little tire pressure gauge, and I was reading on the tire wall where it says, like, you know, pump up to a certain amount. And I thought it was like, you know, it's getting pretty hard to pump because I put like 30 up and downs, you know, on the bike pump. And that's normally normally overkill for like my normal bike. But this guy, like, it takes a lot of air to fill these bad boys up. And I was like, oh, it's going to pop. But then when I used the pressure gauge, like, it wasn't even close to being what the tire pressure said is the max. So I might even pump these up a little bit more. And I might even be able to get some better range if I pump them up, depending. But, you know, if you have them a little bit, you know, a little bit lower on pressure, you're probably just going to get maybe a smoother ride. But, yeah, so far so good. No complaints, no loose wires or anything. Again, I'm going to try to test out this headlight, and I'll update you on that. But, yeah, 24 miles from my first ride. No issues. And hopefully it'll stay that way, because I know some people have some issues. I had some issues with the battery, as I said before. But other than that, so far I'm liking it. So I'll keep you updated. If you're thinking about getting one of these, you know, watch reviews, watch videos, and make up your minds for yourself, because it is a lot of money to spend. I was kind of disappointed when the battery didn't line up, because, you know, I spent $1,000. I expected it to work right out of the box, but I had to wait like 2 weeks for them to send me like a little rubber strip that I put on the battery. That still didn't line it up correctly. So then I had to kind of bend the things down. And I'm like, if I spent this much money, do I really want to, like, you know, use bubble gum and duct tape to fix this? But it wasn't a super big deal. I was a little bit disappointed that it didn't line up, but, you know, it is what it is. It happens. And this is, you know, even though it's $1,000, it is kind of on the lower end as far as price goes for e-bikes. So, you know, with maybe a more expensive e-bike, you wouldn't run into those issues. But, you know, for what it is, I think it gets the job done. Like I said, I've only been on a 24-mile-an-hour ride, so, you know, anything could happen. Things could break. But I will keep you updated, and I will keep you posted. Thanks again for watching. If you want to stay up to date with my channel, I do video games. You know, I do Let's Plays, video game reviews, reaction videos. And I'm doing, like, you know, e-bike videos now too. I'm a little bit of a I'm a Swiss Army knife when it comes to like these things. So I will catch you guys later. Thanks again for watching. And yeah, Lectric XP 2.0. Catch you guys later. Toodles!